Welcome back, Magic Weaver, to the Weaving Magic podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Lilly.
And I am Tara Webb.
And we haven't recorded in a while.
No, even my computer was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes. Both of us, my computer crashed. We've been on and off, couldn't hear each other. It's fine.
No.
We made it.
It was like, why are you doing this? This is not this is not your usual anymore. What's going on? So, before we get started, because this needs to be said, and we will forget if we don't do it now. We took a break in June, and we never said anything podcast-wise. We announced it on our IG. Go check out our IG, to find everything there. But we didn't announce it because it kind of came upon us, and we were going to announce that last episode of Ancient Communications, that we were going on like a bi-weekly. Is it bi-weekly? Bi-weekly.
We're moving from weekly to bi-weekly, yeah.
Releases. That way, and we still are doing that, as you've noticed. We're releasing bi-weekly now because it feels more in alignment with where we are with like having the baby. Because I'm sure by the time this one comes out, the baby will be here, and Alyssa having more professional type things going on in their realm.
Yeah, as well as the pain.
Yes, as well as body stuff and that kind of thing. And It felt, we are like 1,000% committed to recording and flow. And that's not to say that we don't sometimes force ourselves. Like we kind of are in this moment in the sense of making it work, right? But it still feels in flow. We still have the energy. When we don't have the energy, you will not hear from us.
Like, because we know. It would be a waste of everyone's time. Nobody wants to hear us.
But like we're just not ourselves. And that's what the podcast is about, is showing up like that, showing up authentically. We preach about it. So why aren't we actually going to do that? Which is also where we were. We were, it was the weekend before. And this episode was not this one. The Ancient Communication episode was going to come out Tuesday. And we had nothing. And we were like, we aren't feeling this. But we need to record? No. Just no.
Yeah. Well, and I think both of us are kind of going through a transition. I feel like we're in a transition phase. And it going like, through metamorphosis again.
It feels like a depressive stage, but it's not. Right? Because we're able to get out of it. It just in the moment feels depressive.
Yes.
So if any of you are like, if any of you are experiencing that, where you just kind of feel tired but can't sleep, in pain because your body, or you're pregnant, or just life, but like you can't really get out of the pain quite yet. It's just you're stuck in this at the moment, having to just kind of deal with it. You have the desire to create, but no drive. Right? Yeah. Honestly, that's probably even called burnout. If we're being honest, that's probably more of burnout than depression.
Yes.
Because I think that would be, and in my stage of burnout, would be burnout as like a mom. Just, I love my kids, but I need the space. And even today, I told Alyssa I was getting out, and then I didn't do it for like 2 hours. And then called them and was like, hey, I'm getting out. And they're like,
oh, I thought you already went out.
Yeah. Like I tried to find ways to still meet my needs while being at home. And it didn't work. But the second I started driving away from the house, the amount of creativity that flowed to me. So sometimes we just have to like get out of our own way and accept that we're going through something that needs rest, basically just kind of accepting that. And two, I think Alyssa, you do this really well right now, shifting the environment we're around, because you're doing that with work.
Shifting my mindset, really reflecting on what I want and what feels good to me and what my body wants. And that's a big thing for me right now, is my body's being very loud about what it does and doesn't want. And so it's just time to listen and live in the season that we're in.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't like that, in the sense that we didn't have an announcement before, that maybe those of you who are listening were like, what happened?
We love you. This is not us burning out from Weaving Magic. I just want to be clear. We just have a lot of stuff going on in our life, and we
it's
want to show
from,
up.
Like, just not being able to create the way we want to create, basically.
Well, it's burnout from, I know for me personally, it's some of the things that were in my life were not in alignment with who I am. And so I
Yeah.
literally burnt myself out. And I feel like I've kind of lost myself the past month or
Hmm.
two, just like I've just disappeared in the back of my mind somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm there, I'm coming back.
Hmm. And I mean, I've become so immersed in being pregnant. It feels
Mm.
like I've lost myself because I'm so waiting for this time when I'm not. And that's not to say like I'm not appreciating these moments, but I'm not a happy pregnant person in the sense like I don't enjoy it. So I don't feel myself. And when you don't feel yourself
Was
in your
this for
body,
just this pregnancy or all of your
all
pregnancies
of
that
them,
you?
all of
Yeah, I
them,
didn't like them.
it
I was
gets
not a happy pregnant person either.
mine's gotten progressively worse because I've had other kids around. So I'm also giving, and this is something that we're going to talk about later in a different episode about specific and non-specific manifesting in some ways, and I'm going to tie it into that because I've read as a manifester, motherhood isn't what lights me up. It brings me immense joy. I love teaching and giving to my kids, but I also have this just immense urge to create and build and just provide something for the world. My kids are that in some ways, but like, it's something outside of myself, outside of like this little container I have. And the more kids you have, and the more times you get pregnant with kids that you have, you're not only giving to the kid inside of you, you're constantly giving, to the other kids and also homeschooling. I
It's
literally
a
get
lot.
no space.
Yeah.
So no, it's definitely with every kid in the sense of like, I just like the second the baby's out, good to go. I'm tired because it's that newborn stage, but I'm like 1,000% revving. Just
Oh no, I
like
am
I
dead to the
am.
world for at least a month.
No, and I mean I don't want to be around people, but that's why I bought or Justin got me the free write that I show on my Instagram because I can create in my bed without having my big computer. It's a small little tablet that I just literally draft new novels on, and the creativity pumps through me at that time, and I'm just like ready to go. So this is the time when I'm supposed to be resting, but I don't want to.
Is this denial? Is that what it is?
It
I don't
might
need to
be.
rest.
I don't need it. I do. But also, like, how do you rest when nothing brings you rest?
Yes, that's deeply where I am right now.
Like,
Even sleeping doesn't
yes.
feel restful for
Or,
me.
lying in bed as you're trying to rest and then you're not resting, right? Like, nothing is fully satisfying that need for rest, that need for alone time almost.
Yeah. And I think a part of it for me, and it might be for you too, is I'm just so overstimulated all the time that
Yes.
when I lay down to rest, my brain tries to stimulate me. Like it needs to
And
be
yeah,
in
and
that constant
that's
state of going.
something I saw that I shared in a story on my Instagram that was like, as a mother, you're not constantly angry. You're just overstimulated to where you have those moments when you might snap or something like, and that was very revealing of, you're right. I'm not constantly angry. I typically can maintain the, hey, can y'all guys be quiet? Can you do this? Da, 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 da. And it's the constant like pestering of questions, the same thing over and over kind of stuff that does overstimulate. And then you're like, ooh, and then it hits hard because
Hmm.
it's a barrage. So yeah,
Oh yeah, and I'm just so sound sensitive, and Aurora is
mhm.
hitting new levels in octaves. Ori too, both of
Yeah.
them, just these high pitched, and it
Hmm.
overstimulates me instantly. And it's so hard not to get mad.
Well, and I have two kids who also have ADHD, and they're
Hmm.
constantly like their energies are constantly going and
Yeah.
singing and being themselves, just literally being
Oh yeah,
themselves.
your kids love to sing. It's so cute, but it is overstimulating
Hmm.
sometimes.
Or my third son is the one who wakes up early now, and his energy is just like explosive in the morning. It's just immediately go, and I have to just
The fire.
like
The
take
fire.
space. It's so much. Um, so Alyssa and I have also been talking about doing, what are they called? Wheel of the Years? No, that's the tarot. That's the actual.
It's just our yearly, it's like our New Year's resolutions, but we do it on our
Yeah,
birthday and we do a reading for the full year.
I thought there was actually a word for it.
Is
like a
there?
term. There is. I just don't remember what it's called.
Annual reading. No, there's some,
I
I think,
know.
this happens in a lot of our episodes where we just forget words.
I'm trying to look it up really quickly. But yeah, so it's basically where you pull um, typically tarot cards, and
Mm-hmm.
we're pulling runes and tarot, but runes
Yeah, we've
for
gone
the
through
year.
for at least the way that I did it because we did it separately. I did a rune for every month of the year, which I believe Tara
Mm-hmm.
did as well. And then I pulled a tarot card for each season.
Yep, I did the same. Well, I can't find the word for it. I thought I would find it, but I didn't. I did the same. And my birthday was April 25th, and I said for a good while I was going to do it. I was going to do it, and I just never did. Never had the energy. Things kind of had to fall in line for me because I wanted my runes in my bedroom to do it because I'm never in this office space right here. And then I had to wait for Justin to put up the shelves, and then we did the shelf. Like it was just like a little domino effect of things. Um,
Yeah.
but I finally did it, and it feels good to do it.
Even though we haven't dove in super deep yet. So my birthday was
No,
also forever ago. I pulled the reading and it sat on my floor
yeah.
forever before I wrote it down and started actually looking at what it was. But that's okay. We get
I mean,
to follow.
that's to say is that like if you don't do something immediately when you're quote unquote supposed to, you can still do it, right? Like it's not a
Yeah, I
oh I
also
didn't do
pull for the
it.
next month because I know myself. So when I pull for
Mm-hmm.
my year, I pull for June as the first month.
And see, I wanted to
So,
do it at the start of spring. That was my goal,
your birthday's the
and
start of spring. That's fine.
it is. Um, and I will say, last time I did this, I did it with tarot cards, and I actually never went back and looked at it until like a year and a half later. And it's funny how it actually really did align very, very closely with what I
Oh, I love doing
remember.
these. It's so fascinating to see how it
Mm-hmm.
all just like, oh, I see what you were trying to tell me there.
Yeah, very much so. But I will say, as I'm pulling mine out, that the first one, because I started mine in June as well, because I just hadn't gotten to it yet. And my
Oh, yeah,
first
if you're on
one,
YouTube, and if you're not, you should be. You can kind of look at our little.
yeah, this is mine.
Yeah.
hmm and then I go back in. I'm gonna on this side write in more in depth what each of them are.
Oh, yeah, I have this beautiful journal. This is the page that I have because I'm going to split it into two sides. Look how stunning that is. There we go.
I like the
Oh,
top of that.
and
Yeah.
this one. I love this journal. It's so pretty.
Um, but yeah, mine for June, and I have to actually make sure I say this right because
Oh, it was interesting too because we didn't have any month in common
you
either,
you
which
checked when on each
I
of them.
did. I don't think we have a
Oh,
single one.
that's
We have
funny.
similar runes,
So
but they're in different places.
so I will say that the one thing that bothers me because I'm such a perfectionist sometimes about things is even when I did tarot cards, my mindset being because it's so pretty when you lay them out and like you see them in a
Yeah.
circle and you like take a picture of them. Was well, what if I need that card for another month? What if that card was meant to be for another month?
Which I had
And for
never thought of before, but it makes
yeah,
sense.
and well, and for tarot cards, it's different because there's so many of them that kind of have
Hmm.
similar meanings. With runes, there are only a set number in a sense. And so to me, it felt like I was taking away, which I actually, there are maybe two or three that actually do repeat. I'm
Mm.
sure another one could have
Maybe I'll do that next year.
sufficed. Yeah.
Mm.
But the first one for me is Burkana. And the translation is birch tree, but it's literally birch tree, fertility, beginnings, and healing. So it's the rune of birth.
Ha,
So
surprise.
I know. I technically my due date is July 14th. My kids typically come 2 weeks early, and that's like hitting right there. I mean, like
Right
so
on the
close,
cusp.
June 30th to July 1st, which is just kind of interesting. But I mean, this entire month I am preparing for birth. Even if I don't give birth to my baby immediately in June,
This is all the prep.
this is the prep for birth, and it's just I love when the universe shows up that way. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah, for mine for June, I need to figure out how to pronounce these. I got Kanaz,
I can find that for you.
Kanaz. Yeah. And I don't have the book that you have, but the word I wrote down for it was inspire. I feel like there's a lot of inspiration on what my
So
future
yours,
is going to
yeah,
be.
Kanaz is how you say it. Translations are torch and knowing, so knowledge. Energy of truth.
Yeah, I'm big in that. I'm
It
even in
yeah.
that right now. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, but now you're coming to the point where ignorance is no longer bliss, like that thing.
Well, let me tell
So
you, I'm
it's
not
this,
ignorant anymore.
yeah, it's the rune of enlightenment, essentially.
Yeah. Which is, again, spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled this a month ago. Why didn't I do the reading?
And what I like about mine is also a rune of becoming. So in a sense, I
Mm,
am becoming whatever needs to be for for the next stage. For summer, I don't have my book with me, but mine was the 10 of voices because I use mine that has like each of the tarot is different. And all I have here is a sad face because I didn't write them out.
oh, no.
A sad face. But it's I think it's not meant to be sadness. Let me see if I can actually find them. What was yours for summer?
Mine was the Queen of Pentacles. So it was very much, because this is the one card I did look at when I was writing it down. It was about stepping into motherhood or parental figure. And
Oh.
I'm getting into like homeschool right now. I'm transitioning
Mm-hmm.
out of my job and trying to think of ways to step into this role and what it looks like for both me and Sean. So that totally aligns again with what we're kind of navigating right now.
Yeah. This is what my card looks like. Well, you can't really see with the background, but
Ooh,
it's like stabbing. It's blue, but for some reason, because my screen's weird
yeah.
and that screen's. Um, Mine is like painful truth or realization. Moments of blinding truth offer the most potential to heal and to grow. What version of you is rising up? So it's healing and being stronger, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
Sitting with a painful ending, which is I'm kind of feeling that at the moment. I'm curious how that's going to be for summer because we're technically not even in summer yet.
For
Um,
me, this is summer. I did summer for June, July, and August.
I did as well.
Okay.
Technically, but yeah, and I honestly I'm feeling summer in our weather too already, where it has been like a much cooler spring. Now I'm finally feeling the summer warmth. So mine says she does not hold space for helplessness at her table. She knows that the parts of her that heal and grow and stitch their way back together will become so luminescent that they will elevate her to the top of the mountain and give her strength and fortitude to love even deeper. So my
Mm,
summer is very much of seeing the things that have held me back or the things that I don't agree with any longer. Um, and sitting with my sadness, so sitting with my betrayal and anger and guilt, which I already am about different
yeah.
things in my life already. Um, yeah, it's just so fascinating.
I know I have so many layers to journal when I get this all put together in my bullet journal. And I'm committing to that. It's one of my commitments to myself for this year and this season is to bullet journal or just journal in general, a little bit more.
Yeah, and see, I was doing where I was writing in my journal every morning, and I was pulling a card every morning,
Hmm.
um, and then it became not ritualistic. It became
A chore almost, I feel
no,
like.
it was like a just a habit. It just did it.
Oh, like oh, there's a word.
I know. I'm
We
like,
do
I don't know what
this a
this word
lot.
is. But it just kind of felt like checking it off the list essentially. I did
Yeah.
this today because I would only like journal maybe a page or two, which is fine. But I'm the kind of person that I process through things, and I truly only need a journal when I need a journal.
Yeah.
And forcing myself to try to write at least a page or two a day on journaling was very it felt like almost like I was just writing random things just to write them.
Yeah, for me, if I am not in the mood to journal, if I'm trying to do that commitment of journaling every day, I try to write down at least something that was a highlight of my day or something I'm grateful for, even if it is just really short, one word, at least it's something.
Yeah. I just think it's different for some people some people aren't meant to write every day.
No.
Because you hear
And that's why you got to feel into it.
You hear you should do morning pages, and like that's like across the board. Everyone should do them. But once you get past that, like if you keep making yourself write, you will get past the superfluous phase of like writing of my day was this and my day was that and into the deeper layers. But some people are already going into deeper layers just without writing. And
I think
people.
that concept of morning pages and journaling every day is for more neurotypical versus neurodivergent people. Because I feel like for me, especially since I've picked up knitting, that I find I'm reflecting as I knit and kind of going through what I would journal about. And I feel way more processed than trying to force myself to journal. And this has been a new realization for me. And so I've been going back through a lot of these practices and how can I better tailor them for my personal experience versus what I'm told to do.
And I think for me, like the situation I'm going through right now would be beneficial to journal, but would also be beneficial, and we're going to talk about this in another episode, doing a cord releasing ceremony and writing a letter to the person that I'm, releasing the cord with the candle, like that kind of thing serves a bigger purpose for me than writing about it. Because I'm taking action on it.
Well, and you're seeing it happen. It's physical. It's not in your head. You don't need that processing in your head. You need the physical grounding of the ceremony.
Very much so. Is there another one of yours that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I didn't really go through everything yet. Let me look. I did find it really funny because I ended in May, and the rune I pulled, again, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Jera. Jera? Yera?
I think it's
Is it a
Y
sound?
I'm gonna double check.
But it's completion. So it's like the completion of my cycle before I do another pulling. So I thought that one was really cool. And then April was, go ahead.
Yara, I think.
Yara, okay. And then April I have prosperous, and March I had mystery. I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening there? So I'm excited for the end of the year.
I have that one in March.
Which one? Yara?
Yep. I have that one in March for me. And it's also balance and appreciation.
Yes.
So it's like the ripening of things and that kind of stuff too.
Well, and I also feel like this year for me is really going to be balancing what work looks like for me in a way that feels good, where I can still be with my family and show up in the way that I want.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because that one, I'm curious what that will bring for March. My May, like my ending one is Wunjo. Let me see how to pronounce
that's a good one. That's the prosperous one, right?
Bliss and pleasure and that kind of thing.
Joy, yeah.
Yeah. Wunyo. And that is when I'm supposed to be sending my final book in this series that I'm writing to my editor. And so I could see how that would be like extreme just joy around that, around finishing that.
I can't wait to get the phone call. I'm excited.
I know. It's weird. So the ones that repeated for me were, well, that's interesting. Were Yara. I think that's how you say it. Because actually July is Yara, which is fascinating because that's balance and appreciation, and it's the ending of a cycle, which is birth. And like, not just this birth, finishing being pregnant for the rest of my life.
You're done.
I'm done. I'm saying this as like I'm manifesting this too. Like I'm not going to accidentally get pregnant.
You're commanding it.
No, like I'm done. I don't mind adopting. I'm done. No other babies in this belly. I'm done. So I think it's interesting. That's the one that repeats for me. What's another one that repeats? Oth. I'll move it around my big belly. Othala. Let me see how to pronounce that. 139. Othala repeats, and that one. Do you have that one?
Which one? Othala? Let me
Yep.
see.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't think I
Othala.
do. Nope.
That one repeats because that one's in September for me. And that one is inheritance and family and a big family thing. So that one's in September and in February for me.
Mm.
So Yara, Othala, they repeat. But I think that's all that repeat for me. So that's fascinating because there were only two. There were some that like I pulled and they kind of repeated, but it like they kind of fell out of the bag versus that
Pulling
kind of
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were just kind of interesting in general.
Yes, I think my plan is now that I have everything pulled, is I'm gonna go through and journal for each month and like bond with that rune. I don't know if I'm gonna do it all at once or if I want to do it month by month. Like I'll do it for June today, and at the end of June, I'll do it with July.
I think what would
I
be
don't know.
fascinating would be to, as you say, like bond to carve, draw the rune somewhere for the day, or I don't know, something like that for that month.
Oh yeah, and like hang it up or have it in your
Because like we talked
routine when you
about in one of ours, like
moisturize your
doing
face.
Isa on our forehead,
Mm-hmm.
and so I
Oh
think
yeah.
just something of that being like a not mindless, but like a little
Activating the sigil
activating,
and
but like a when you're doing something, you don't like pick your nails or something else, like just drawing that rune maybe.
oh, as you're
Like
redirecting.
yeah, like your fidgeted kind of thing. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
do this somewhere. I don't know. Um, are there any downsides you feel to pulling these? Are I could see people asking and saying, "Well, you're like looking into the future, and what happens if they don't come true, and like that kind of thing, right?"
Well, I don't think this is about predicting the future. It's
Mm-hmm.
more about when you get to that month. Like for me, when I think about, whatever got pulled for next month, it's looking at it from an outside lens and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what advice it's giving me as I navigate situations that are coming up. I mean, can you predict something bad is going to happen? No, I don't think. I mean, I guess you could, but I think you're more predicting. It's like your higher self is giving you guidance for when you're going through those months and telling you what you need to hear.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I mean,
know.
technically, you could take the Rakana, my birth one,
Mm-hmm.
and literally it could be for every single month, the same one for every single month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout those months, there would be a different way of birth, of
Oh,
fertility,
yeah.
of like whatever's coming up in that month that could fall into that. Um, so it's just more of, I think it's more of a way to focus on something a bit higher so we don't get so caught up in the why is this happening? This is so frustrating. Because like right now I'm in this mindset of I'm ready to be done. I'm ready for the birth. Like it's one big thing. And my rune's telling me, no, this entire month is your birth. This entire
Mm-hmm.
month is the preparing for this birth kind of thing. Like you are in it for the entire month, which is a nice mindset shift versus 4 weeks down, 3 weeks down, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, a countdown. Well, and I feel like that with the Queen of Pentacles, for me, it's a whole season of stepping
Yes.
into what this new idea of parenthood looks like for me and different things. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take time for me to transition out of this job. It's going to take time for me to transition and see what my life looks like with how my pain is and all these different things. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not predicting that this is going to be, you know, you're going to be a stay-at-home mom and fit into this motherhood box. No, it's I'm going to figure out what I don't know, my relationship with my kids are going to be like, and if I'm going to homeschool and testing out different things.
And even then, that's always going to change too,
Yes.
because that doesn't say that the rest of the month, the rest of the year, you're like I'm done with figuring this out. I'm good. No, like it's
No.
it's still going to constantly be there. It's just going to maybe
Well, and
a
what
bigger.
the kids' need will change over time too. So let's get into a flow, figure out how we communicate with each other, and then we'll readdress it later.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely enjoy just and just in general the idea of pulling runes and pulling and that being a connection kind of thing.
I think the biggest thing that I hear from people about pulling runes and cards, because you brought this up earlier, is that you can make anything fit the cards.
Yeah.
And so they're too broad, but is it helping you get through something? Is it helping you navigate your life? Like we said, it's helping give us guidance on where to focus in these different things. So what?
Yeah. And even then, like whenever I pulled the tarot cards for, I don't know, 2 years ago, when I did it, I did not go back and look at them until after it was done. And that wasn't intentional. I just forgot. Like it wasn't, I wrote them down and then it wasn't there and, whatever. But when I did go back and look, the ones that I remembered that were certain months that were more specific, it did seem to fit the ones that I could remember those months.
Oh, I think that there's way too many coincidences, or
yeah.
I don't think I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it's the serendipity, the something
Yes.
like that. It's law of attraction. If you're focusing on, I mean, I'm being a manifestor myself. Me speaking something aloud is more likely to make it happen.
Flashback to the I'm done
Yes.
moment.
Yes. I mean, for other people, it's writing it down and really focusing on it and like that kind of thing. But it very much is, it's like with prayer, depending on who you pray to in general, praying for it and making it known, because the universe, God, goddess, they can have an idea, but they don't truly know like what it is you're aiming for. What you
Well,
would
I think
like.
sometimes we don't either. There's a lot of
Yeah.
layers of peeling back we have to do to even figure out what it is we actually want versus
Yep.
all the other noise up here. And we change. Our manifestations change. What did we just talk about earlier? We had all these manifestations that didn't come true because we don't manifest that way. And we still did good this month, and we didn't want to look back on it and think
I
that we
manifest that way.
failed.
You don't manifest that way.
Oh, I don't manifest that way.
Yeah, which is a following episode. We want to talk about of like, we're told one thing of how we're always told there's this one way to do this thing, one way, and it doesn't work that way. That's not how things work for anybody. If you feel the desire to do something different, it's probably because you've been pushed to do something different.
Yeah. So what's our challenge going to be? Gosh, it's been a while since we've recorded. I'm trying to think.
I think just giving yourself a chance to sit in the noise and silence. Like sit in the noise to where it finally becomes silent.
Ooh, I need more than that. So that I'm very literal, and my brain did not process.
Like the kids are constantly loud around me.
And
instead of asking them to be quiet or moving, bring the quiet to me. I'm going to sit here and not put myself through pain, right? But like see the magic of them being kids and find a way to release the stress and control around that. I'm going to sit in the loudness so that I can find silence in that loudness. So it doesn't.
I love that. I think it'd be also good to, and I think it's good to reflect on also how can you accommodate for yourself in those moments, right? So I know for me, the example that you gave is something I've been really working on. I have a list of things that I can do to support me, and loops are one of them. I put in my loop earrings.
I can't find mine.
No, they're oh gosh, I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't find order new ones. That's what would happen.
I need to. I'm so, you get set on that thing of like, I will find it. No,
I know it's here. The hyperfixation.
The second I buy it, I'll find them. It'll be fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, you'll just have a spare pair. But yeah, think about ways that you could, like, what are your sensory needs? What are your physical needs? And what are different ways that you can accommodate yourself emotionally and socially too?
So sit in the noise of whatever. Even if your noise is silence, like how silence can be deafening, can be so loud to you sometimes, sit in whatever that noise that is uncomfortable until you're able to find the silence that becomes comfortable.
Yep. Lean into the discomfort.
Yes.
This concludes another episode of our Weaving Magic podcast.
We release one episode a week, so be sure to subscribe to catch the latest episode as soon as it releases. You can find us on Instagram at Weaving Magick Podcast. That's Weaving Magick, Magick Podcast.
We would also love it if you could leave us a review. If you do, make sure to email us your review so we can send you a thank you gift. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to find a way to weave magic into your daily life.